Jojo was rich, good-looking, and kind. The type of man every parent would pray for. He gave without asking, loved without holding back, and trusted the wrong people. But one day, everything changed. One accident. One lie. One woman who promised to stay, but didn't. What she did next shocked everyone. What happened to Jojo after? Even she couldn't believe it. Sit back. Because this story, you won't forget it. If this is your first time on our channel, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. To our returning subscribers, thank you for always watching and liking our videos. Now, let's get into the full story. Jojo lived in Abuja. He was tall, strong, and handsome. His skin was smooth like polished wood, and his smile could calm even the angriest heart. People called him Gentle Jojo, because he never raised his voice, never picked a fight, never held grudges. He believed that what you give to the world is what the world will give back to you. So, he gave love. He gave help. He gave peace. Jojo's parents were very wealthy. They ran a big oil and gas company. When his father died, Jojo took over the business. And he didn't disappoint. He grew the company bigger, made more money, and gave jobs to many people. He built schools, donated to churches, and helped widows. He paid hospital bills for strangers and fed hungry children. He believed God gave him riches to bless others. But not everyone who smiled at Jojo truly loved him. In fact, most of them didn't. They only smiled for what they could get. His phone never stopped ringing. His gate was never quiet. There were always people knocking, asking, begging. And Jojo gave. He thought they were friends. But they were not. Some of them were other businessmen who were jealous of how fast Jojo was growing. They didn't like how people loved him. They didn't like how clean his name was. So they came close, acting like brothers, shaking his hands, laughing with him at meetings. But deep in their hearts, they hated him. They watched him. They waited, looking for a way to pull him down. Jojo did not see it. He was too kind, too trusting. He didn't know that in the same crowd clapping for you, there are hands planning your fall. And while he worked hard to grow his company and help people, others were planting poison behind him. But Jojo continued, happy and full of life. He thought he had everything. But there was one thing he didn't have yet. A wife. A woman to share his heart with. A woman to build a future with. He prayed for her. He told his mother, when the right woman comes, I will know. He had no idea that the woman who would come next was not sent from heaven, but from hell. Her name was Maya. And everything was about to change. Maya came into Jojo's life like a soft wind before a storm. She was beautiful. Her skin was smooth, her eyes bright, and her voice sweet like morning songbirds. She dressed with class. She walked with pride. People noticed her when she entered a room. And she knew how to make a man feel special. But behind all that beauty was a deep secret. She did not come into Jojo's life by accident. She was sent. The same men who shook Jojo's hands during the day and planned evil at night had chosen her. They had tried other ways to destroy him, but nothing worked. His company was too strong. His name too clean. So they changed their plan. This time, they would send a woman. Maya was chosen because she had the face of an angel and the heart of a fox. They gave her money, clothes, and training. They told her everything about Jojo, his likes, his habits, his faith. Her mission was simple. Enter his heart. Break it. Then pull him down from the inside. The men believed that even the strongest man becomes weak when love is involved. And Maya did her job well. She met Jojo at a charity event. She smiled sweetly. She spoke gently. She told a sad story about losing her parents young and growing up with struggles. Jojo felt pity. He listened to her. He offered help. That's how it started. Little by little, Maya entered his life. Jojo was happy. He believed he had finally found the wife he prayed for. Maya played her role with skill. She acted like the perfect woman. She prayed with him. She laughed at his jokes. She supported his work. She cooked his favorite food. Jojo fell deeply in love. But something strange began to happen. Maya started to forget why she came. Jojo's love was too deep. Too true. She had never felt it before. No man had treated her with such care. He didn't use her. He didn't control her. He respected her like a queen. Slowly, her heart began to change. The men who sent her started to notice. Maya was no longer sending updates. She was no longer focused on the mission. She started defending Jojo in secret meetings. She even cried once, saying she didn't want to continue. But they reminded her of the deal. The money. The plans. Still, Maya's heart had gone too far. One evening, without their permission, Maya said yes when Jojo proposed. They got married. The wedding was grand. Rich people came from far places. Jojo smiled with full joy, believing he had married his peace. Maya looked happy too. But inside her, a storm was moving. She was carrying a lie on her back and calling it love. Now, people watching didn't know what to think. Some said she had truly changed. That love had won. Others said no, she was only playing smart, waiting for the right time to strike. But only Maya knew what she felt. And even she wasn't sure anymore. Her heart and her past were fighting. And soon, that battle would reach a point where someone had to fall. But what no one saw coming was that the same men who sent Maya were not done. They didn't care if she had changed. They had already started their next move. Maya was now just a small piece in a bigger game. And Jojo. He was walking straight into it. Still smiling. Still in love. Still blind. The men who sent Maya were watching from the shadows. When they saw the wedding pictures, their hearts grew cold. They knew what it meant. Maya had failed. The woman they trusted to break Jojo had now become his wife. She was supposed to destroy him, not stand by his side in front of the whole city. They held meetings in secret. Their voices were low, but their hearts were dark. They spoke of how Jojo's business was growing too fast. How his name was rising too high. How even with their plans, he was still shining. They believed that if they didn't act now, they would lose forever. They needed a plan that would finish him completely. No more games. No more waiting. They paid a mechanic in Jojo's car service team. A quiet man, desperate for money. They told him what to do. Late one evening, after Jojo had come back from work and parked his car, the man went under the vehicle and carefully cut the brake lines. It was clean. Quick. No one saw him. The next morning, Jojo entered that same car without knowing death was close. It was a rainy night. The streets of Abuja were wet and empty. Jojo had stayed late at a business meeting. He was driving home, thinking of Maya and smiling to himself. The radio was on low. The city lights passed by like blinking stars. Then he reached a bend on a steep road. He pressed the brake. Nothing. Again. Nothing. The car was speeding. His hands shook on the wheel. The road curved again. He pulled the handbrake. The tire screamed. The car crashed into a ditch. There was a loud sound, then silence. People came running. His car was bent like a folded paper. Blood on the window. Glass on the ground. Jojo was alive, but his legs were trapped. They took him to the hospital. He had broken bones. His face had cuts. But he was still breathing. The doctors worked all night. Maya cried when she saw him, her hands shaking, her voice lost. She stayed at his side, refusing to leave. After some days, the doctor came out with news. Jojo's legs were badly damaged. But with surgery and time, he could walk again. It would take months, maybe longer. But there was hope. Jojo's closest friend, Alfred, sat beside the doctor. Alfred had been Jojo's friend since childhood. He had always been there. He had never liked Maya. From the first day, he had felt something off. He had warned Jojo, but Jojo didn't listen. Now he saw a chance to test Maya's true heart. He told the doctor to hide the truth for a while. Let them say Jojo would never walk again. That he would remain like this for life. Alfred wanted to see if Maya's love was real or if it was still part of the game she started. The doctor agreed. When Maya asked, they told her Jojo would never stand again. That he would be in a wheelchair forever. At first, Maya was silent. Her eyes full of tears. She held Jojo's hand, kissed his head, and whispered softly. She acted like nothing had changed. But time would tell. Because love is not just sweet words. Love is tested by storms. And for Maya, the storm had just started. The woman who came with a plan now had a new plan of her own. But so did Alfred. And only one would stand by Jojo in the end. When Maya heard the doctor say Jojo would never walk again, her heart sank. She sat still for a long time, her hands cold, her mind lost. She looked at Jojo lying in the hospital bed, covered in bandages, his legs wrapped, his face pale. He smiled at her, like nothing was wrong. Like love alone could fix everything. At first, Maya stayed close. She brought food. She helped him sit up. She cleaned his wounds. She prayed beside his bed. Everyone thought she was strong. That she was a good wife. But deep inside, her love was shaking. Days passed. Then weeks. Jojo was moved back home in a wheelchair. A nurse was hired. Alfred watched Maya closely. He saw the way her face changed. She no longer smiled the same. Her voice became short. Her eyes stopped shining when she looked at Jojo. Jojo didn't notice at first. He thought it was stress. He thought she was just tired. But Alfred saw it clearly. The test had begun, and Maya was slowly failing. She stopped sleeping in the same room. She started leaving the house more often. She said she was meeting friends, going to market, going to the salon. But her heart was no longer in the house. Her feet were already walking away. Sometimes she would sit quietly and just stare at Jojo. As if she was asking herself a question she couldn't answer. As if she was stuck between the love she once felt and the mission she once had. The longer Jojo stayed in the wheelchair, the colder Maya became. Then one morning, Maya did not come downstairs. Her room was empty. Her clothes were gone. Her phone was off. She had packed her things in the night and left the house. No goodbye. No note. Just silence. Jojo was crushed. His heart felt heavy like stone. He had loved her deeply. He had trusted her with everything. Now, the woman he believed would stand by him had walked away when he needed her the most. Alfred sat beside Jojo that evening. He didn't smile. He didn't say, "I told you so." He just looked at his friend with sadness in his eyes. The truth was clear now. Maya had failed the test. But the story was not yet over. Weeks later, Maya walked into a clinic far from the city. Her face was tired. Her hands shaking. The nurse asked her some questions. Maya answered quietly. The test came back. She was 2 months pregnant. The nurse smiled, thinking Maya would be happy. But Maya was not. She left the clinic in silence. That same evening, she returned. She asked to see the doctor again. She said she couldn't keep the baby. And just like that, the child growing inside her, Jojo's child, was gone. Maya walked out of the clinic and looked up at the sky. The sun was bright, but she felt cold. She had chosen her freedom, but left behind a man who once gave her everything. And now, a piece of that man inside her was lost forever. She thought she had walked away clean. She thought her story with Jojo had ended. But fate was still watching. And the gods of the land do not sleep when a good man is betrayed. In time, every step she took would bring her back to what she tried to escape. Because the path you follow in secret will one day lead you into the open. And when that day comes, you will face what you tried to leave behind. After Maya left, Jojo's house became quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that speaks louder than words. He sat by the window most days, watching the road, as if hoping she would return. But she never did. Only the nurse walked in and out. Only Alfred came by to sit with him. The world outside kept moving, but Jojo's world had stopped. His business began to suffer. Clients who once waited eagerly for his advice stopped calling. Contracts were cancelled. Meetings were missed. Workers came late or didn't show up at all. Slowly, the office that once buzzed with activity began to empty. Some employees stopped coming completely. Others left without notice. Whispers began to spread. That Jojo was finished. That he could no longer manage the company. That the man in the wheelchair was no longer the powerful man they once feared and respected. Money became tight. Bills piled up. Partners pulled out of deals. Even the loyal ones started looking for other places to go. They didn't mean harm, but they were afraid. No one wanted to sink with a ship that looked like it had no captain. Jojo didn't fight it. He didn't shout or blame anyone. He just watched everything he built fall apart, brick by brick. His heart was broken, not just by love, but by the people who claimed to believe in him, yet left when he needed them most. Then came the worst blow. Alfred showed Jojo something that crushed his spirit even deeper. There was Maya. Dressed in new clothes, gold on her neck, smiling like her world had no trouble. She was beside another man. A rich man. A popular man. They were seen at parties, laughing, drinking, dancing like they had no care in the world. People whispered that she had moved on. That she never really loved Jojo. That the new man was even richer, and that's why she left. Some said she had only married Jojo for name and money. Others said maybe she did love him once, but his condition had scared her away. Jojo looked at the photos for a long time. Then he closed his eyes. He didn't say a word. Alfred sat beside him, shaking his head. His voice was low, but heavy. You see now? No woman can be trusted. But Jojo didn't reply. He didn't argue. He didn't agree. He just sat there, broken inside. His heart had been given fully, and it was thrown away like nothing. His body had been attacked, and his soul was now crushed. In his quietness, he remembered the times Maya had smiled. The times she prayed with him. The way she held his hand in the hospital. He wondered if any of it was real. Or if it was all just part of the lie. Outside, the city moved like nothing happened. But inside Jojo's heart, a fire had gone cold. He had lost not just love, but trust. He had lost his business. He had lost his name. And now, all he had left was silence. Jojo stayed quiet for many months. He didn't attend any events. He didn't post any photos. He didn't answer calls that didn't matter. The world thought he had vanished. But behind the gates of his home, something was changing. The fire in Jojo's heart, though weak, had not gone out. He began to focus on healing, not just his body, but his mind. Every morning, he let the nurse help him stretch his legs. At first, the pain was too much. He would sweat and shake, and sometimes his muscles refused to move. But Jojo did not give up. He took his medicine on time. He followed every word the doctors gave him. And when the pain became too much, he prayed. In the quiet of his room, he would close his eyes and speak to God. Not with big words, just simple ones. Words from a broken heart. And slowly, something began to change. His legs started to feel again. One toe moved. Then two. Then the ankle turned. The nurse smiled, but Jojo told her to keep it secret. He didn't want noise. He didn't want pity. He didn't want Maya or the world to hear too soon. With time, Jojo stood on his feet. It wasn't perfect. He still used support. But he stood. Then he took one step. Then two. Then a full circle around his room. Alfred watched with tears in his eyes. He had seen his friend crawl through pain. Now, he watched him stand again, like a tree that refused to stay cut. Jojo told no one outside the house. He wore loose clothes to hide the braces. He used a car with tinted glass. But inside, he had made a promise to himself. That he would rise again. But this time, not with loud noise. Not with big speeches. Quietly. Like the wind that moves mountains without sound. He returned to his office. One desk. One chair. One file. No assistants. No fanfare. He started from the bottom. He called old clients. He sent letters. He studied the market again. He watched the people who once called him brother. He watched them from afar, but he didn't speak. He only walked. His small team returned, one by one. The loyal ones who never stopped believing. They saw Jojo's quiet fire and followed him. They didn't ask questions. They just walked. And slowly, the company began to breathe again. Not loud like before. But steady. Like a stream finding its path again. One day, Jojo visited a small local shop to buy writing books for a school he was helping. There, he met her. She was behind the counter, wearing a simple dress, her hair tied back. Her face was calm. Her smile was soft. She spoke to him with respect, not fear, not pride. Just respect. She didn't know who he was. She didn't care about his past. She offered him water while waiting for change. She thanked him for his kindness. She didn't flirt. She didn't beg. Her name was Amara. She was not rich. She came from a small family. Her father was a retired teacher. Her mother sold vegetables. She helped in the family shop after finishing school. She didn't wear gold. She didn't drive a car. But she carried herself with grace. She listened when people spoke. And when she laughed, it was from the heart. Jojo didn't tell her his full name. He didn't say he owned a company. He just said he was helping a school. He left the shop with books and a memory he couldn't forget. He returned the next week. Then again the week after. Each time, they spoke a little more. She asked about the children in the school. He asked about her mother's tomatoes. Slowly, they became friends. Jojo found peace in those small talks. There was no pressure. No pretending. Just quiet joy. The kind that grows slowly, like fruit in the sun. He began to smile again. Not the kind of smile that hides pain. But the kind that shows healing. He didn't rush. He didn't promise anything. He just allowed the days to pass. But one thing was clear, Amara was not like Maya. She didn't want his money. She didn't want his name. She just wanted truth. And Jojo was learning that true love is not loud. It doesn't wear makeup and speak sweet lies. True love is patient. It walks beside you when you're limping. It listens to your silence. It doesn't run away when the light fades. Jojo was walking again. His body was healing. His business was waking up. And now, his heart was finding its way, slowly, to a place it had once feared to go. A new chapter had started. And this time, Jojo was no longer chasing love. He was letting love find him. Jojo had learned his lesson. His heart still carried the wound Maya left behind. Even as his legs grew stronger and his business rose again, he held a quiet fear inside. He did not show it. But it lived in him. A simple fear. Can I trust again? Amara was kind. She had never asked him for anything. She smiled without faking it. She cared without expecting gifts. But Jojo had been hurt too deeply to give his heart away easily. So, without saying it, he began to test her. Not with tricks, not with lies. Just small things, quiet things. Things that would show what she truly carried inside. One day, he came to the shop and said he had lost a big contract. He told her his business was not doing well. That money was tight. That the future was unsure. He washed her face carefully. But her face did not change. She offered him a chair and asked if he had eaten. She didn't pull away. She didn't act surprised. She only said, life has seasons. Sometimes rain. Sometimes sun. But God is still God. Another day, he wore old clothes and used a taxi to visit her. She opened the door with the same smile. She served him rice and beans. No fancy food, no questions. She never asked why the car was gone or why his watch was missing. She never treated him like he was poor or pitied him like he was weak. Weeks passed, and Jojo saw more. When a young boy came to her shop crying about school fees, Amora used her own money to help him. When her mother fell sick, she didn't cry to strangers. She carried her pain with quiet strength. She still laughed. She still gave. She still prayed. Jojo watched it all. Every step. Every word. He told Alfred, this one is different. But his voice still carried fear. He had given his heart before and paid the price. But this time, it felt different. Not because of what she said, but because of how she lived. One evening, Jojo invited Amora to the school he had helped build. It was small but full of joy. The children ran around, shouting his name. But when they saw Amora, they stopped and smiled. She knelt down to greet them. She gave them sweets. She spoke to the teachers with respect. Jojo saw how the women smiled at her. He saw how the children hugged her. He saw how his word accepted her without force. That night, Jojo sat alone in his room. He looked at the picture of his parents. He looked at the quiet sky outside. Then he closed his eyes and breathed deeply. He knew. The time had come. He went back to the same shop where he first met her. No cameras. No crowd. Just the same old street. The same wooden counter. The same smell of pepper and soap. And there, with a steady voice, he asked Amora to walk with him. Not for a day. Not for a season. But for life. She looked at him, her eyes wide, but calm. She said yes. Not with shouting. Not with jumping. Just a soft yes. The kind that carries truth. Their wedding was simple. A few family members. A few friends. Nothing big. No loud celebration. But there was joy. The kind of joy that doesn't need drums to be felt. People who once said Jojo was finished now watched him from a distance. They didn't understand how he rose again. They didn't know how he found peace. But Jojo knew. He had trusted again. And this time, he had found love that was real. Amora didn't marry his money. She didn't marry his name. She married his heart. The broken one. The healing one. The strong one. And Jojo, once fooled by beauty and destroyed by betrayal, had now found something better than gold. He had found truth. Maya was living large in the beginning. After leaving Jojo, she quickly moved in with another man. A man known for his wealth, his cars, his parties, and his women. Maya thought she had won. New clothes. Trips. Expensive drinks. Her face appeared in photos, her name whispered in high places. But what she didn't know was that some riches come with a curse, and not every gift is a blessing. The man she followed had no roots. He was like dry grass, loud in the wind but quick to burn. He spent fast, lived fast, and loved with no heart. Maya was only new to him. A toy. A face to show. A name to carry around for a while. And when he got tired, he moved on. It started small. He stopped picking her calls. Then he stopped coming home. Then his driver stopped answering. Maya tried to act calm. But the house rent was due. The card he gave her was blocked. She asked questions, but no one answered. The man had found a new woman. Younger. Louder. More exciting. Maya was thrown out of the house. Her bags were left by the gate. The friends she once partied with stopped answering her calls. The women who clapped for her online now laughed behind her back. The phones stopped ringing. The smiles disappeared. Maya was alone. She moved into a small room in a rough part of town. She sold some of her jewelry to eat. She applied for jobs, but none came. Her name was known, but not in a good way. She had become a shadow of the woman who once walked into Jojo's life with pride and perfume. Then the sickness started. It came slowly. A cough that wouldn't stop. Night sweats. Her body got tired easily. She lost weight. Her skin lost its shine. Her hair fell out in clumps. She thought it was stress. She told herself it would pass. But it didn't. She visited a local clinic. They ran tests. The nurse didn't speak at first. Then the doctor came in. He looked at her with soft eyes. He handed her the paper. The truth was written in black and white. Maya was HIV positive. She sat there, frozen. Her ears rang. Her throat went dry. She walked out of the clinic in silence. The road looked longer. The sun felt hotter. Her body moved, but her soul was weak. She walked aimlessly through the city, past places she used to know. Places where she once smiled. Now, no one noticed her. The same streets that once opened for her now closed. She was no longer Maya the beauty. She was just another face in the crowd. Then she saw it. A big billboard. Standing tall by the roadside. It showed a man and a woman, smiling. Holding hands. Behind them, children in uniform. Food bags on a table. Medicine in the background. The words were clear. Jojo Foundation. Giving hope. Building lives. She looked again. It was him. Jojo. Standing strong. Standing tall. Walking. Beside him was a woman. Dressed simple, but full of grace. It was Amara. The new wife. The woman Maya never met, but now would never forget. They looked happy. Peaceful. Their smiles were real. Their eyes soft. Maya stepped back. Her heart pounded. Her knees felt weak. The billboard stood like a mountain before her, reminding her of everything she threw away. She remembered the day the doctor told her Jojo would never walk. She remembered the day she packed her bags. The clinic. The baby. The lies. The money. The betrayal. Now, Jojo was walking. Loving. Giving. While she was fading. She turned and walked away, her head low. No words came from her mouth. Just silence. A silence louder than any sound. A silence that follows those who forget that every step has a consequence. That you cannot eat from a good man's plate and spit in his cup without the earth remembering. The city hospital was full that day. People came from many places. Some came for free treatment. Some came for the food. Some just came to see the man they had once thought was finished. The man who now gave back with quiet hands and a full heart. Jojo stood near the entrance. Tall. Calm. His suit was plain, but he looked like a king. Amora stood beside him, greeting the sick, giving out care packages, helping children smile. Cameras were clicking. Volunteers moved back and forth. The name Jojo Foundation was written on banners, on boxes, and on hats. Somewhere in the crowd, Maya stood. She didn't plan to be there. She had only come to the hospital for test results. But when she saw the crowd, she got curious. Then she saw the name. Jojo. Her legs shook. She tried to turn away. To hide. To blend into the crowd. But time has a way of catching up. She looked up, and their eyes met. Jojo saw her. He did not look angry. He did not look shocked. He just looked at her with quiet eyes. Eyes that had seen pain. Eyes that had walked through fire and come out clean. He stepped forward, one step at a time. Slowly. Without fear. Maya froze. People moved around her, but she couldn't move. Her feet stayed still. Her hands trembled. Her eyes filled with tears. She saw the man she had left in a wheelchair now walking like nothing ever happened. She saw the man she had once called husband now smiling without her. Strong without her. Happy without her. When he reached her, she fell to her knees. Her tears dropped to the ground. Her voice cracked. She spoke with the last strength in her body. She said sorry. Not the kind of sorry that looks for pity, but the kind that comes from a heart too heavy to carry shame. Jojo looked at her. He did not raise his voice. He did not ask her why. He did not bring up the past. He only nodded, and with a calm voice, he said he had forgiven her long ago. Then he turned and walked away. No anger. No pride. Just peace. The people nearby watched, confused. Some whispered. Some looked at Maya and shook their heads. Others looked at Jojo with respect. But Jojo did not look back. He walked to where Amora stood. She placed a hand on his back. He smiled. And together, they continued the walk. Maya stayed on the ground. Her hands covering her face. The past had caught up with her. But Jojo had already let go. The pain that once burned him no longer had power. And Jojo. He had crossed the bridge of pain and reached the land of healing. Not by force. Not by wealth. But by walking slow, trusting deep, and letting time and truth fight for him. His story had become a teaching. His scars, a song. A reminder that when a good man falls, the earth holds him up. And when he rises, even those who left him behind must watch from the dust. Not every downfall is the end. In life, when a tree falls, people think it is dead. But in the forest, some trees fall so their seeds can grow. That was Jojo's story. What looked like the end was only the beginning. What looked like loss was the opening to something deeper. Something divine. When Maya left, the world thought Jojo was finished. A broken man with no legs, no wife, and no strength. But they forgot that a man's power does not only sit in his body. It sits in his soul. And Jojo's soul was still alive. Betrayal is like a sharp knife. It cuts deep. But it also cuts through lies. It opens your eyes. It shows you who is real and who is pretending. Jojo loved with a full heart, and that love was thrown away. But the pain did not kill him. It shaped him. It bent him, but it did not break him. The pain cleaned his path and removed fake hands from his journey. He healed in silence. No noise. No shouting. No fight on the streets. He did not go to the news. He did not beg the world to feel sorry. He just healed. Slowly. With patience. With faith. With time. And when he rose again, his comeback was not for show. It was not to prove a point. It was simply to live again. People who walk through fire without losing their peace are the ones who carry true power. Jojo did not need revenge. He did not need to speak badly about Maya. Life handled it. The same hands that took him down now lifted him higher. Not because he forced it, but because he waited and trusted. And in that quiet rise, he became greater than before. Stronger than before. Wiser than before. The ones who left were gone. The ones who stayed became family. And the Jojo who once needed help became a helper. His story became a light. A lesson. A truth that many will remember. Because true strength is not how hard you hit back. It is how still you stand when life hits you. And when you rise again, not with bitterness, but with grace, even the land will bow for you. Now that you have heard Jojo's story, let us ask you, what would you do? If you were in Jojo's shoes, would you forgive Maya? Would you walk away without anger, or would you try to make her feel the same pain she gave you? Some wounds cut deep. Some betrayals shake the soul. But some hearts still choose peace. Not because it is easy, but because it is powerful. Jojo chose peace. He chose to heal instead of hate. He chose to bless others even when his own blessings were once taken from him. That is strength. That is wisdom. That is the kind of man this world rarely sees. Have you ever been betrayed like Jojo? Maybe not by a lover, but by a friend. By a family member. By someone you helped, someone you trusted. Tell us. Let your voice be heard. Your story matters too. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think. What lesson did you take from this story? What part touched your heart the most? And if this is your first time here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is where true African stories are told with heart and truth. Stories that remind us who we are, where we come from, and the power we carry inside. Until next time, remember this, no matter how far you fall, the ground can still teach you how to rise. Stay strong. Stay kind. And let your story be one that brings light. Thank you for watching.